বাংলাদেশের রেমিটেন্সের একটি বড় অংশ আসে মধ্যপ্রাচ্যে কর্মরত শ্রমিকদের আয় থেকে। আমাদের অর্থনীতির একটি বড় খাত প্রবাসী আয়। সিঙ্গাপুর, মালয়েশিয়া, ব্রুনেই, মিশর সহ বিভিন্ন দেশে আমাদের জনশক্তি রপ্তানি হচ্ছে। জনশক্তির বাজারে চাহিদা ওঠানামার পেছনে অর্থনৈতিক, সামাজিক, রাজনৈতিক কারণ থাকে। একসময় DV1-এর মাধ্যমে ভাগ্যান্বেষণে প্রচুর বাংলাদেশি পাড়ি জমিয়েছিল যুক্তরাষ্ট্রে। DV1-এর সুযোগ বন্ধ হয়ে গেছে, বিশেষ করে ট্রাম্প সরকার আসার পর আরও কঠোর হয়েছে অভিবাসন নীতি। আর ৯/১১-র ধাক্কা তো এখনও আছে, কিন্তু এখনও যে সুযোগ আছে তার কতটুকু আমরা জানি? আমাদের দেশ থেকে হাই স্কিল ম্যান পাওয়ারের অভিবাসন যে বিশাল সম্ভাবনা এখনও আছে, সেটিকে আমরা ব্যবহার করতে পারছি? এই নিয়ে আজকে বিশেষ অনুষ্ঠান। আমি সামিয়া রহমান আছি আপনাদের সাথে, এবং আমাদের সাথে আছেন মিস্টার দিলীপ রাজ ভাট্টা, ইমিগ্রেশন লয়ার USA, এবং আছেন ব্যারিস্টার তানজিবুল আলম। আপনাদের সবাইকে অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ। ওয়েলকাম টু আওয়ার স্টুডিও। তানজিব ভাই, আপনার যদি কোনো বক্তব্য থাকে আপনি প্লিজ পার্টিসিপেট করেন, কোনো মতামত বা মন্তব্য বা কমেন্ট থাকলে। কিন্তু আমি একটু দিলীপ রাজ ভাট্টাকে দিয়ে শুরু করতে চাচ্ছি। বাট বিফোর আই স্টার্ট কোয়েশ্চেনিং টু ইউ about the immigration opportunities and challenges in USA, I would like to ask you about the present scenario in USA during this Trump regime.
Okay, it's a very interesting question. You probably read a lot of information these days, but nothing substantial changes has happened. Law has, to pass a law, Congress has to take action. Trump, to fulfill his campaign promises, he has made some policy level changes only, and those policies within the law that we already have. Nothing new. Nothing substantial changes has happened.
But as we have heard so many critical comments from Trump government, those are really confusing to us, seems to us critical. So you think that
those comments are not acceptable to a lot of Americans as well. But that does not mean that is the policy of the United States. That does not mean that the government agencies will follow that. These are his opinions. Obviously, he wants to maybe someday make those opinions as a part of his policies and laws.
But what about the upcoming election on November? If Republican will get more seats, then what would happen?
That remains to be seen. Right now, they control the government right now. Republicans control. They control House, they control Senate, they control obviously the president. But they have not passed any immigration-related legislation as of today, and the America needs some kind of immigration law reform, because there are so many millions of undocumented immigrants are still living there, particularly these dreamers, we call them, early child arrivals. Those needs to be included to some extent, but negotiation and talks are on. And so many senators, congressmen talking about that. Even Trump is also part of that, but nothing substantial has happened yet.
But hasn't there been some sort of a shift in the mentality of the Americans regarding the immigrants? I mean, if you compare the current situation with that of the situation back in 60s, 70s, 80s, even 90s, that it was considered that it is the immigrants who are actually bringing the brain from the rest of the world and having a significant contribution in the economic development of USA. And there has been a lot of studies which also shown that out of 100 inventions that are actually taking place in USA, 70% of them are actually taking place in the hands of the immigrants who actually traveled there, either they are one generation above by their parents, or they themselves when they are the student and then took the opportunity to undertake the research at the various universities. But suddenly it appears that the Trump's agenda is also like, make America great again, means that actually America first. So we would not let any immigrants to come into USA, take our jobs. I mean, hasn't there been a shift in the mentality of the Americans even?
Well, not really. What he is trying to do is he wants to maintain and keep those certain categories visas, which means to increase the numbers of entrepreneurs and tech people coming to the United States, but eliminate visas like DV lottery, chain family immigration, and also he wants to control the border so that illegal low skill illegal undocumented immigrants do not come. So that's part of the reform they have been talking about. I think you are absolutely right in terms of the US economy being affected heavily by the entrepreneurs. You can see so many Indian origin CEOs are actually running top big companies in the United States. So this is a part of a reform, but I do not think it will substantially change in the US immigration system, because Trump himself, his grandfather was immigrant, his wives were immigrants, so it will remain, but to what extent we will see.
But in terms of the potential law reform that they may bring up, how would that sort of affect the type of immigration we are talking about? For example, EB1 to EB5, you know, can you explain us what are the types of categories of the
But before I ask him about the EB1 employment based visa, I would like to add ask you one thing actually. Do you think religion matters? Because some last few days or few years we have heard so many things from Trump about the religion issue. As being Bangladeshi Muslim, would it be difficult now, or as because laws have not been changed, so it is same?
Well, this is a constitutional right. I think I don't think any president can change freedom of religion in that country. So it's very hard to change Constitution of the United States. It's a fundamental right, one of those fundamental rights.
I think what she really meant is that while considering an application for visa or for immigration purposes, whether in considering an application for immigration visa, the religion plays any role or not, because to begin with, all the immigration applications are to some extent discretionary, in the sense that if the immigration officer believes that this is not a suitable candidate, regardless of the fact that he or she has actually fulfilled all the conditions, but yet immigration officer may decide not to grant the approval. So in that process, in the decision making process or in the application of the discretion, whether a person's religion would play any role in taking a decision by the immigration officer.
It's a mindset problem, I think.
It could be. I mean, what is your experience?
I'm 100% sure it would never play any role. Let me tell you why. Because first of all, any policies, whether internal or external, ever practiced by any government agencies of the United States will be struck in illegal. They are anti-constitutional. All the laws are against those policies. If that is the case, if you see your even Bangladesh last year data alone, about 1,700 students alone went for a study. So I don't see any religion playing any of the factors. But yes, officers do have the discretion, but not based on the religion, but based on.
But they might not say it that they are taking this decision on religion. But the question is, you know, in my experience, I have also seen that some of our clients also trying to go to USA, and they complain that they were refused a visa because, say for example, he was wearing, you know, having a big beard, or his dress up was somewhat, one might construe this to be an orthodox Muslim attire. So, but in the application or rejection grounds, it is never stated. So how actually, particularly when it comes to this immigration visa, this particular aspect could be relevant, or if there is any scope for actually eliminating that kind of possibility?
Well, United States actually do go through the thorough background check before admitting anyone in the United States, whether immigrants or non-immigrants, any travel, obviously for the security reason of the whole system, whole policy, they do follow that. But I am pretty positive, because even I personally, one of my clients who has very long beard and wears pretty white clothes from all the way up to down from Bangladesh, I was able to, we were able to do without any hesitation, no discrimination whatsoever. But yes, in the street level, you might find some people like that, where you feel like one or two people sometime in different state, different place, that's everywhere anyway.
You want to say that general perception does not reflect in policies or in laws?
No, this is not. Some campaign promises are different than the laws.
So now could you please give us some claims about the immigration opportunities and challenges in USA, about, as you said, that employment based visa EB1 to EB5?
Yeah, just like I think you are holding the record on that.
That's right. Yeah, I have few slides here which shows that a dismal picture for Bangladesh. As far as the immigration or employment based immigration visa is concerned, there are 5 types, I believe.
Correct.
And out of these 5 types, if you make a comparison of the immigrants from Bangladesh, in 2015 it was only 64 EB1, and EB2 429, and EB3 123, and EB4 33.
Yeah.
And comparing to that, for India, for EB1 it was 12,253, and EB2 7,235, and EB3 7,026, EB4 709. I am quite sure you were all aware of these, that how, I mean, what picture does this particular statistic actually show that Bangladesh is really doing poorly here?
Why are we not aware, or what is the reason behind
Okay,
this?
so this is one of the biggest issue actually struck me, because Bangladesh has 160 million population right here, and then Pakistan has only 30 million more than you have, and India has 8 times more. But when you see this skilled employment in the United States, you lag behind. You are ranked 4th. Number 1 being India, number 2 being Pakistan, number 3 being Nepal. You are number 4th. That is
even behind Nepal.
Correct.
And the population size of Nepal and Bangladesh is actually
We
not
are
even
5 times more than Nepal.
You are 5 times less than you have here.
Yes.
So what it shows is, which is a high skilled employment here, any skilled employment based, compared to other countries, you lack so much in between, and I don't know why this seems to be the discrepancy. Either government, the colleges, the students, I do not know who.
Mr. Tanzibul Alam, what do you think? Why are they taking leading roles, and why we are not?
I think there are a number of reasons why this is happening. Firstly, the lack of awareness among the potential applicants that there is an opportunity like this, because even if the students from Bangladesh or the entrepreneurs, and for that matter even technology experts, are very skilled person from Bangladesh, but they lack the confidence of actually exploring sometimes. And if it has become part of some sort of an habit in India, that if you are a software engineer, you would inevitably put into a process of trying for EB1 visa.
Mr. Tanzibul Alam, not only doctors or engineers or technical people, even I can apply, you can apply, anybody can. Yeah,
anybody who
we are not aware of this.
That's right. That is one aspect. Second aspect is that for one to have an employment visa, you need to have actually some sort of setup there who would be recruiting. So you'll have to be also part of the recruitment, because without having a job offer, you cannot.
Is it true?
Well,
without having job offer, I
in
cannot
these
apply?
5 categories, for example, there is a permanent immigrants visas we're talking about. These are.
Yeah.
So some you don't need, some you do need. For example, EB1 you don't need. EB2, 3, 4 you need. EB5 you actually don't need. Who
can qualify under EB1 visa?
Well, it's a lot of people. We have from sportsmen to businessmen to highly skilled researcher, professors to scientists to pretty much anyone. Media persons to celebrities to film,
players,
movies, sports. All these people can be.
So what are the
requirements?
What are the qualifications they need to show to be eligible for EB1?
I think you have 10 categories.
Yeah, there are 10. Out of that 10, you have to meet 3. As you know, recently you probably read the article in Washington Post. Melania Trump came under EB1A to the United States.
Einstein also.
And so was Einstein. There are so many people who do that million.
But we are not Einstein.
No,
that's the main problem.
You are not Melania Trump either, but
but she could be close to Melania Trump.
No. I really would like to know what are the 10 categories. You said the 3 categories would be
that's
possible.
It's possible,
apply,
it's correct. Out of those, if you have, those where you don't need employment is you have done significant work in your country. For example, you are known among the certain individuals who make a difference in regular life. You have achieved to that level of a success in your career, so you doing the same thing would substantially benefit the United States as well.
Everyone is not like Barisha Tanzibul Alam, then other will not apply.
No, I would never apply anyway, but I mean what he is trying to indicate perhaps is that if a person has a standing, then he has an opportunity. Standing meaning that through your own work you have established yourself to be someone who has the potentials to grow bigger, because he has got entrepreneurship skill, he has got the managerial skill, he has got the vision, because you have actually proved it by your own
that I'm high skill labor.
Yes. So I am someone who could actually stand himself out of the ordinary. So it doesn't have to be, you know, Einstein like that.
Correct.
So then one can potentially apply, and I mean I can imagine that we have actually a lot of people like that who are, you know, have that opportunity or have that capacity to expand their horizon and explore the new areas. You know, the America is called the land of opportunity.
True.
So you know, all that you really need is to be an entrepreneur.
Not entrepreneur.
No, I mean what I am saying is mentality has to be entrepreneur. It's like an exploring mind.
Confident.
Yeah, you have to have that exploring mind. Well, you do not necessarily need to have you know, super extraordinary quality. All that you need to have is to show the confidence that you can do big. Perhaps that will apply.
There are different categories. You know, that's one we're talking about here. Sometime, let's say, even people from Bangladesh who have garment factories, they want to expand their business to a bigger level in America. For example, I think we were talking about that yesterday, utilizing Amazon platform was one of the things we talked about.
But that's entrepreneur category.
Well, entrepreneur also part of those things. You know, this is opportunity wise he's talking about. There's a 1, 2, 3, 4. You can open that. It's a temporary in the beginning, and then you can convert into the permanent requirement if you want to.
But isn't there some employment generation requirement in some of these categories?
Under 5.
Under 5.
Under 5, yeah. If the 5 people, as you see in 2015 or 16, one data about 36 Bangladeshi national invested money under EB5 program.
But under EB1 visa category, you have said you have to, I have to fulfill. I have to be a renowned person in my country, renowned in a professional level. So, what are other qualifications?
Well, for example, people know them somehow. For example, I think I'm aware of one of there's so many people. I'm just going to give you some name from midfielder of this country, to makeup artist, to journalist, to and a professor, to author. I have had personal experience. There's so many. I'm just giving you a couple of names.
So what they have to do now if they want to apply?
First of all, obviously, not everyone should apply, but they have to be eligible. Without determining their eligibility, they shouldn't proceed on that. But again, you know, what they do here, if they continue at a bigger forum in an international level, through a bigger market, whether you do journalism, means continuing your profession in the same area, and that would benefit to some extent to America. Means there are so many minority communities. They can benefit by business, they can benefit by your knowledge, journalism, sports, anything, or teaching, or your publications, either way.
Mr. Tanzibul Alam, every year so many Bangladeshi people are trying to apply for US immigration or visa, or even in tourist visa. Why? Do we have idea this earlier, or it's
no? I think
we are not aware of this.
No, I think the most of the applicants that submit their application for visa in US embassy are mostly tourist visa that they apply for, or student visa, and some immigration visa, as you said, you know, chain immigrations visa. If you look at the statistics in the website of even in American embassy in Bangladesh, they give you the statistics how many of the applicants in what category. So most of them are actually either tourist, student, or
family
chain immigrations, and there are hardly any EV categories in any of these, let alone, you know, 1 or 2. And the number of 420 EB2 we are seeing here I wonder though how many of them are actually taking the official positions because of their link in their employment here in Bangladesh. So it's not the case that the people or educated people in Bangladesh who have got some experience in their respective field are considering to migrate into USA.
I have seen his paper in 2007. 600 visa granted for Bangladeshi people under EB1 to EB5, and whereas India got almost 20,000.
2017, I think you talk about.
2017,
yes.
yeah, and Nepal got 1,400 and Pakistan got more than 2,000.
Correct.
So I think if you compare our condition with that of the other neighboring country, it is really bad. And what we also forget that is that there are so many people now at the moment in Bangladesh. You know, if you look at the unemployment rate, it's really high, and even the people who are employed at various places, despite having high skilled experience and also the qualification, they are doing their job at a very low wages because of the economic conditions. These are the opportunity for them actually to consider that if they are courageous enough,
eligible,
and you know, first of all you need to have the courage that, you know, whether I would apply for it or not. Some of the eligibility criteria you can acquire over a period of time. All that you need is actually passion. For example, there is a requirement that you need to have a postgraduate degree that you need to have. Then you need to have a proficiency over English on certain level, and then you have to have a certain period of experience. So you might not have it today, but if you are actually making your plan properly, then it is not too difficult to acquire these skills. So even if you say, most of the people I have come across is that they are scared of is that either proficiency in English, which is, you know, one of the essential requirement, and then the degrees you have already obtained, and then the work experience.
I'll come back to you very soon. I need to take a break right now. দর্শক, এটা বিরতি নিচ্ছে এই বিশেষ সাক্ষাৎকার অনুষ্ঠানে। বিরতির পর আবারও ফিরে আসবো। দেখছেন বিশেষ সাক্ষাৎকার অনুষ্ঠান। আমি সামিয়া রহমান আছি আপনাদের সাথে। আমার সাথে আছেন যুক্তরাষ্ট্রের ইমিগ্রেশন লয়ার মিস্টার দিলীপ রাজভাট্টা এবং আছেন ব্যারিস্টার তানজিবুল আলম। মিস্টার দিলীপ রাজভাট্টা, actually our audience like to know about in detail EB1 to EB5 category, who can qualify under this category, and how long it would take to get this permanent visa.
Okay, well, there are first of all, I think what audience need to know is there are immigrants, there are non-immigrants. Immigrants means there are permanent basis immigrants visas, and most of them are filed by the employer, but there are certain immigrants visas where you can file self-petitioning. For example, EB1A is one of those things. There are EB1B too. There are national interest waiver where you have EB1 we already spoke about, you becoming those type of people who have accomplished significant
even they can apply from Bangladesh, they don't need to go to USA.
True. Any of these categories can be applied from here. You don't need to go to the USA, and then once it gets approved, you go to the embassy and then you go this way. And under immigrants visas, there are EB1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Under EB1, there are EB1A, EB1B, EB1C. C means becoming, B is A, you need to meet 3 out of 10 requirements we have. If you have achieved to that level of success in your country and want to continue the same thing in the United States, and that would benefit the United States to some extent significantly, and you don't need an employer, you can easily file, and once it is approved, you can directly go with your family and continue your journey in the United States. And there are national interest waiver permanent visas too. Means if someone has achieved successful achievements from either doing PhD, writing thesis, research base, those individuals, for example, they also go directly without having employer, obviously it would benefit the United States too. This is, as I said, you know, you mentioned already Einstein, one of the things, but not to that level, but everybody, those people, you also brought that issue already about having top entrepreneurs from abroad benefiting the United States. So the reason we have this easy for certain people is that it would benefit the United States.
And how long it would take to get the permanent residency?
Well, approval can come with as early as within 15 days if you file from that. But obviously, this is an expedited process. Anybody is eligible. Everybody.
15 days or 6 months?
No, 15 days approval comes. Okay. But by the time whole family goes there, it takes about 6 months. You know, you got to go to the biometrics, fingerprints, security clearance, and Department of Homeland Security, Department of State, through that embassy, and that's when you go through that. And EB2, on the other hand, is if you have a master degrees or high skilled person, your employer wants to hire you, you can go through that. Again, permanent residency, all your family and under your children below 21 years also will be included that. EB3 is you have a master degree. Most of the H1s actually go through either EB2, EB3.
Is that temporary visa?
No, this is EBs are all permanent.
Okay.
But there are temporary visas. Again, let me finish that quickly about EB5 and A4. And then EB5 is investment. If you invest $500,000 or $1 million where you generate 10 employees, either directly or indirectly through regional centers, then also your family goes to the United States because your money is contributing to generate employment in the United States. Again, anything benefiting the United States, they will welcome people like that.
I think that's the category that Mr. Trump has started offering through his organization in China. There is also a lot of allegation against
Jared Kushner, I think you're talking about, correct, that's a matter. And then there are other non-immigrant categories where you can live and stay with or without your family for about up to 6 years. There are L1s, company transfer intra, H1s. There are O visas for artists to go perform and make money and come back. And there are P visas for artists. There's a film company. There's so many. Even one thing Bangladesh has that India, Nepal, only Bangladesh and Pakistan has E2 visa with America. There's a treaty. America has signed a treaty, I think 1969 or 79 actually. 69 or 79. 79 Bangladesh has a treaty. Based on that treaty, Bangladeshi national can invest on business, could be a grocery store, could be a restaurant, and then they open anywhere in the United States, maintain that business for themselves and make the living from that. Whole family can do business and live there about 10, I mean renew that and stay there a long time.
Here many of our students are going to US, they are not, don't you treat them as skilled, high skill labor?
The students are, they going through the students. Once they obtain that degree, then they can fall under these skills, EB's requirement. An employer hire them just like they hire any other countries. One interesting fact about US university is 80% of the higher education, master or above degree, 80% of those students come from abroad. Only 20% American utilize that education.
But Mr. Tansibul Alam, our rate is low as because our rejection rate is high, or we are not aware?
No, I think mostly we are not aware, and some of the applicants who are applying and getting rejected are not genuinely actually eligible to get the visa. What we really lack here is that the general understanding and confidence level of Bangladeshi potential immigrants. They are trying to immigrate to, for example, there are a huge number of people are immigrating to Canada nowadays. There is even in Toronto, Montreal and Vancouver, there quite a large Bangladeshi community who has lawfully migrated from Bangladesh, and there has not been any same level of enthusiasm among Bangladeshi people to migrate to USA. I think largely it is because of the fact that they are not aware of the opportunities that are available.
It's in the website always.
It might be in the website. You see, when people are deciding to immigrate, they generally speak to a lawyer, immigration lawyer, and most of the immigration law they are practicing here, they are offering their services for Canada, Australia, even for that matter even Malaysia. but none of them are actually keen or have the expertise to offer these sort of services for migration to USA, and that is one of the reason why people are not concentrating on USA. I mean, if you compare that, the opportunities that are available for migration between Canada and USA, obviously the USA would be rated much higher, and people generally perceive that it is easier to get a immigration visa from Canada than USA, but
I think
truth is that might not be the case.
I think Canada goes to the same level of strict processing for immigrants than US to some extent. They share the information, same information in many cases. If someone applies with the Canadian embassy, the US embassy would be able to access.
What is lacking here?
Well, information is a number one thing because your population is 160 million, and but your rate is way below than all these three country ahead of you. So either your education is very good, by the way, because I have actually heard or read people, other SAARC countries coming here to study science, medicine,
especially Nepal.
That's right. I mean, there has been actually
Africa.
a tradition of the students from neighboring countries coming into Bangladesh. There are a lot of allegations or accusations that the quality of education in Bangladesh has deteriorated, but I would still say that we are at par with, in some cases, with India, in some cases even above India. For example, in the public health sector, education or the expertise that we have in the disaster management sector, where the expertise we have is way above the region. But in some cases Bangladesh might be lacking, particularly in the technology sector, software engineering and so on, but these are the sectors which were coming up. But what we have not seen in the education sector is that, you see, once you are making an education policy, you also need to keep this in mind, that we were not creating the migrant skilled manpower for Bangladesh. We could actually potentially aim for creating skilled manpower for the whole world, but there has not been such a policy
in our education
in our education system. So what we need to also see that before you've got the market ready, but you need to actually keep yourself ready. I just remember there a few days back, there was one question asked to the Apple CEO Tim Cook, that why all the companies or tech giant companies are moving to China for manufacturing purposes. Is it only for the cheap labor? Then Tim Cook says that China has actually not cheap anymore. It has stopped being cheap labor since beginning of this millennium. It means since 2000, China is no longer cheap destination for labor. So why still China is the biggest destination for big high skilled high tech manufacturing activities? Because of the availability of expertise, precision engineers. He was giving a reference that if there is a demand for precision engineer in USA, might be from whole of USA this room will be filled. So total precision engineers. But if you make the same demand in China, you would see that 5 stadiums would be filled with precision engineers, because China has realized from the very beginning, if they were to go ahead of the game for the rest of the country, they need to have lot of vocational engineers. So they have concentrated on doing that, and they were strictly following the German way of actually educating the citizen, that you create skilled labor force. What we are lacking here, that the government has been issuing lot of licenses for new universities, and what are the subjects they are offering? All subjects, you come up with master's degree virtually with no skill, because you offer MBA. These are all soft skill. But why need to have, the government policy ought to have been that we want engineers, we want vocational engineers in lot more than MBA and BBAs or graduates from all humanitarian subjects.
But don't you underestimate the masters or other degrees?
No, I do not underestimate any degrees, but what I need to have is that actually what is the utility of having those degrees? What are they doing after coming out of those
After did masters, I am here.
No, you are here, but you are one of the exceptions. I am talking about the general populace that had, I mean, you would never find an engineer actually without employment, but you will find lot of MBAs without employment, or lot of master's degree holders from political science.
We need manpower from all sectors, not from only technical sectors.
No, but the opportunity, employment opportunity for the technical sector is much higher than the employment opportunity for the other soft skill subjects. I mean,
but as per his conversation, he said that these opportunities for all, actually, not for the technical person.
Not for technical, you know, again, some of the employment is demand and supply based. I think what he was saying is there is more demand for tech now, but again, it's going to change. It reverses every now and then.
I can assure you that there would never be a huge demand for MBAs in USA, that, you know, USA universities are not capable of producing. So what we need to understand, that why we have seen so many Indians are actually going to USA on this, in the list that we are seeing. If you compare the profession wise, 90% of them are actually software engineer.
You are trying to underestimate all other professions. No, this is not right. But I would like to know, because we are running out of time, I would like to know how are the people in USA, how are the people of Bangladesh are doing in USA?
Well, there are, you probably know some of the people. I think they are doing great, but again, you know, you can choose how you want to live your life, and they have that freedom. If they want to do something there, I think nothing is stopping them, whether they are entrepreneur or education or public sector, and some of them are even getting involved with the politics. Slowly your population is increasing there. It has been for quite some time, and they are very organized and united, and there are so many media outlets, as a matter of fact, because I have personally seen them. So they are doing great. But again, what I was more focusing is this here, how you guys can utilize the existing system to benefit this country and the people. This is the question that I wanted to ask you.
I'll just give you one statistics, that if you compare the amount of remittance that are coming from USA to, for example, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh and Nepal, Bangladesh, comparing to the number of people they have, is actually one of the lowest. Although quite a good number, quite amount of good amount of money is being remitted from USA to Bangladesh, but the skill level wise, Bangladeshis are below the Indians, and they are earning per you know,
as
per
we are not
also
aware of this. If we apply, then we can be.
Yes.
I think what we need to understand is that there are a lot of scope to explore, but we need to make ourselves ready for that.
Yeah, but again,
we are ready. I don't want to agree
family
with you.
migration was heavily involved in your
Do you
case.
think
That's
we
why.
are not ready yet?
I mean, Bangladesh has always been. It's 160 million people. Come on, you cannot say you're not
You got
prepared.
to have the opportunity. Yes,
There are opportunities, but exploiting that to taking it to the next level is very important.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Your last comment, Mr. Tanzibul Alam.
No, all that I would like to see that actually.
Don't try to underestimate.
I don't want to underestimate anything. I think what we need to have is that actually common consensus. Even the government need to make there are people aware that if you have the good education, then the whole world is your actually potential workplace.
Correct.
You don't necessarily
so
need to dream only for Bangladesh.
Thank you so much. Your last comment.
Well, I think you know, what you read in the news may not be true, because the policies have not changed substantially. I want to reiterate that, in Bangladesh becoming very fourth in terms of getting revenue and sending skilled employees to the United States, that can change if you guys want.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. দর্শক, আজকের মতো আমরা শেষ করছি, এবং যেটি রাজভাট্টা বলার চেষ্টা করছিলেন যে আমাদের অনেক সম্ভাবনা আছে, চ্যালেঞ্জও আছে কিছু, কিন্তু যে সম্ভাবনাগুলো আমাদেরকে রেমিটেন্স বাড়াবে, এবং রেমিটেন্স বাড়লে আমাদের হাই স্কিল লেবার বাড়লে সে বিশ্বের উন্নত দেশগুলো আমাদের দেশে ইনভেস্টমেন্ট করতে আরও বেশি আগ্রহী হবে। সম্ভাবনা আছে, কিন্তু সেই সম্ভাবনার ব্যাপারে হয়তো আমরা অনেকেই সচেতন নই। সেই সচেতনতার বিষয়গুলি তিনি আজকে বলার চেষ্টা করেছেন। আজকের মতো শেষ করছি বিশেষ সাক্ষাৎকার অনুষ্ঠানটি। ধন্যবাদ সবাইকে।